So why hasn't the city and county of Honolulu stepped out and done something on this?
I think that...
And that's putting you in the spot. I'm sorry, I don't mean to...
The first answer is that the data is still being delivered to them.
Oh, all right.
The study, which we are doing at the University of Hawaii, the study of the rate of erosion around the island of Oahu will be completed approximately by February or March of 2010.
Okay.
And at that point, I know that the City and County Planning Department is very interested in looking at new conservation oriented ways of managing the shoreline.
Okay.
Just
so,
from
and they're aware of Kauai's
very
further,
much so.
Yeah, and
they're aware of
Maui's.
Kauai and Maui. Maui's setback is 50 times the annual rate of erosion plus 20 feet.
Okay.
One idea that is being discussed here on Oahu is instead of doing an island-wide setback, let's do a setback that is scaled to the beach.
Well, which makes so much sense.
That's right.
Chip. I mean, that really makes sense.
And it's also keeping with the traditional Hawaiian management approach of the ahu pua'a, that you have a place-based management approach. And indeed, this study of Kailua, sponsored by the Department of Land and Natural Resources, is designed to take the first step towards a place-based, a beach-specific management plan.
Well, it would be nice if we didn't have to fight out this issue in the legislature, because you end up with some legislators that aren't really representing your shoreline areas anywhere in the state. And then you also end up with people on Kauai saying, look, the county can do it. We did it. We've done a good job. Why doesn't Oahu follow that? And so I think that that would be a much better way to have it done, and to have it be done site-specific.
It's interesting. Hawaii has actually made huge strides forward in managing their shoreline over the last decade. The first major stride was taken by Maui County, and they went from the fixed 40-foot setback distance to a scaled setback based on the rate of erosion. 50 times the annual rate of erosion. So
it's science-based.
It's science-based, and it's very specific. Every lot has a rate of erosion. Kauai took it one step further. They went from 50 years of avoiding erosion to 75 years of avoiding erosion. Plus, on Kauai, if your lot is 150 feet wide from the shoreline, then they do a calculation of 100 years times the annual rate of erosion.
Because you have adequate space to move further back.
Because you have the space, right.
Right.
Now, City and County is discussing improving it one further step, which is place-based. And the possibility exists in Kailua that there would be identifying certain segments of Kailua Beach that may have one approach for managing the beach, and other segments of Kailua Beach that may have another approach.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But based on science, again.
Based on science, and also based on community will and management principles.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that process, and it should be going on sometime this year, right?
Yes, there's been one community meeting already in Kailua, 30 stakeholders.
I meant in the in the city council and the planning department.
Yes, the planning department at the City and County of Honolulu, I'm sure over the spring, will be taking their new data, digesting it, and starting to begin the discussion process of what do we do with this.
Well, there are a couple of ways that can get before the council members. One is an individual council member could propose it. So it may be that it would come from two different directions, because we certainly have coastal areas represented that are at risk, and maybe we could look to those council members to say, step forward, so it doesn't languish in the planning department.
Right,
we wouldn't want that to happen.
What's also interesting is now that every beach on Kauai, Maui, and Oahu has detailed scientific information, the state may want to take it upon themselves to change the setback from the 40-foot setback to one that the setback could be redefined. Instead of having a scientific number assigned to it, it could be defined as avoiding erosion, avoiding future erosion. So the state setback,
which goes back into science, and it gets it out. That's a wonderful idea.
Right. So that would be motivation, or sort of pushing the various county planning departments, giving them more liberty to use scientific basis.
Well, that seems to make so much more sense, because then if you have a lava rock area, you're not going to say your setback has to be so
That's
far.
Right. That's right.
Because it would be...
Although in those places you have other considerations, such as vulnerability to storm surge or tsunami or sea level rise. But,
well, yeah, but then that's all on the homeowners' back. But what I want to do is make sure that we do everything we can to preserve our beaches for the public.
That's right. Beaches are so important. They're also a bellwether of our quality of life in Hawaii, and they're a signal of how well are we doing managing our resources here in Hawaii. We live on islands, and that's got to permeate our planning, the fact that we have limited geographic boundaries and limited resources.
And Chip, it really hasn't. I mean, up until now, when people like Dr. Stephen Schneider has come out and has been so helpful in talking about the real crisis that we're facing, and that we really need to take steps to change the way we're operating in our, not just in Hawaii, but in our world.
That's right.
And it's all of these people that have sort of been ignored up until now. There may have been some thought about all of this in the 1970s, but it was driven by the high price of oil and gasoline and the shortage, and people in lines saying, we want to get our car filled up, let's find a different way to do all this, and then it just went by the sidelines.
It's hard to move towards a sustainable economy until that economy is threatened, until the sustainability threats are obvious to your daily life. And the cost of gasoline is a very big motivator.
Oh, huge. But we also, for Hawaii, we have so much to preserve that it would just be foolish to not take those steps now. And I'm very glad about the Supreme Court decision, because actually that is going to preserve some beach areas.
It will.
Because otherwise those people could have done, as you said, taken the beachfront portion of it, developed it, hardened the area, sold off the back part, and there they'd be out on what should have been public beach, and now because, not Supreme Court, pardon me, Intermediate Court of Appeals, and because of their decision, that area stays now available for the public.
It's a wonderful decision, and it'll be interesting to see along Kailua Beach if this huge increase in building suddenly comes to an end. Because the one house you referred to was started about 2 years ago, and there are now 3 or 4 houses under construction, and you can see that there's the beginning of sort of a wave of construction on Kailua Beach. Hopefully we're going to see the end of it.
I hope so. I mean, we have to, and then we have to look at the people that are doing the shoreline setback determination, and people need to weigh in on that and say, wait a minute, I remember this area when the water was lapping at the base of that house. This should not be, the shoreline setback should not be put out so far. So it's about preserving beaches for the public, and I appreciate so much that all of you have listened, and Dr. Charles Fletcher is such an expert. I'm thankful that he's on the side of the people and their access to public beaches in Hawaii. Aloha and Happy New Year to everyone.